Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome back to Canard Boulevard. We are back in the hangar today. We are going to try and find and fix the issue with my cylinder head temperature cooling. That's what this video is all about coming up. So as you may recall, I have had cylinder head temperature issues with my Cozy ever since I did my winter maintenance. I put this new prop on, I did a bunch of heating work and put a new heating shroud in, and ever since then my cylinder head temperatures have just skyrocketed. I've tried a whole bunch of different things, including pulling out a bunch of the changes that I made, but they're still very hot. Now I have gone in and I've done a lot of work on the baffles inside to make sure that there was no air getting through where it shouldn't be. As you can see, I've got a high velocity fan right now blowing up into the NACA duct so that I can actually feel with my hand and see where air is coming through. There is a little bit just coming through where that exhaust penetrates, but not much. I sealed that up pretty well. A little bit more on this side than on the left side. I can see there's a little gap right up in there that I might be able to seal. I mean, it's just a breath of air coming through there, not much, but I mean, it would definitely help if I seal that up, so that'll go on the list to do. The sealing I did around the alternator seems to be quite good. The only air I feel coming through is coming through the alternator, which is cooling air, which I want to happen. All the air coming out is actually coming out through the cylinders as I want. So I can feel, if I put my hand up in here, I can feel air coming up through the fins on the front, not so much on the back. So it's definitely more, as you would expect, the rear cylinders here, which is cylinders 1 and 2 on a pusher, get most of the cooling air, and I can feel that. And if I reach up to the front cylinders 3 and 4, there's less coming through here. That said, this side, number 1 and 3, used to be my coldest cylinders, and now they're my hottest. So I don't think it's baffling. I don't think it's airflow. I think I'm getting sufficient airflow. What I think is going on is restriction of outflow due to the new prop on here, which has a different thrust profile. If you look at the pitch of the prop near the hub on the new one, is quite a bit wider than on the old one, which is much narrower. And what I suspect is it's restricting outflow from the cowl. A way of identifying that is measuring the pressure differential from the bottom to the top of the engine. So what I'm gonna do is create a couple sensors. They're called Piccolo tubes. I'll put one above the engine and one below the engine, and I'll run it into the cockpit where I have a manometer, and I can watch the differential pressure as I fly. Then I will go up, do some climb tests and cruise tests, see what the temperatures do. Then I'll come back down, I'll swap the old prop on, then repeat the tests and see if the pressure differential changes. And if they do and the cooling problems go away, then I know for sure the issue is the new prop. All right, so let's get to work. So I started out by taking the silicone tubing, plumbing it inside the cockpit so that I can hook it up to the manometer, and now I'm going to tape it along the side of the airplane and then back to the engine. This is the easiest way to get these hoses back into the engine. I thought about trying to figure out how to get it through the firewall, but there was just no simple way of doing it. So then I took some copper tubing and drilled holes in it. This is creating the Piccolo tubes that allow the pressure from the engine to be measured inside the cockpit. So I pulled off the cowl, and to put the Piccolo tubes in, I'll put one down below in the high pressure area, put one up here in the top in the low pressure area. And I thought, while I have the cowl off, I'll just do a quick inspection of everything. And here's what I found. I found this piece of cylinder baffling is loose. And it would appear that, I don't know if you can see down in there, but the rivet that holds it in down there has sheared off. I'm gonna have to pull that out, drill out that rivet and replace it. And of course, what was it rubbing up against was the fire sleeve of the main fuel line that goes to the spider for the fuel injection. Hasn't actually worn into the fire sleeve. You can see there's some oil on there, which probably helped it from abrading, but it was definitely rubbing up against that fire sleeve. You can see there. It is not abraded through the fire sleeve, but I'm lucky I caught this when I did, because Having loose pieces of vibrating metal rubbing against your fuel line is generally ill-advised in an airplane. So things are now, I have to pull the lower cowl off in order to get to that rivet so that I can drill it out and fix this, so I'm a little behind on this process now. Now I have to perform one of my least favorite tasks on this airplane, and that is removing the lower cowl from the engine. First I have to disconnect the oil cooler from the cowl and then remove all the screws that hold the cowl in place. This does take quite a while, and it's not the easiest thing to do by yourself. So now I'll get underneath and get ready to remove it, and down it goes. Next, I'm going to fix that little bit of baffling that I had an open gap there around that exhaust tube. So I will cut a piece of silicone and RTV it in place. Next, I'm going to drill out that rivet, and we'll get ready to install the new piece. I'm going to pull that piece out there and just make sure that it's ready to go. All right, some progress. I did go home and have some dinner and come back, fed my cat. Got some progress on this broken baffle piece. I had some hangar neighbors come by to help me because what I had to do was get a rivet up from the bottom while the piece was held in place on the top. So I had my hangar neighbor hold it on the top while I riveted from the bottom. They didn't want to be on camera, so I don't have video of that. But you can see this piece is now solid riveted in there. So now I've just got to put the wire to hold these two baffle pieces together, and that'll be fixed. And then we'll be back to installing the Piccolo tubes, which I've got sitting right over here. And once those are in, we'll plumb them up to the silicone tubing that I've got there, and then button the airplane up and get ready to fly tomorrow. First thing I have to do is wire in that baffle on the top, and that's what holds the baffle to the cylinder to make sure the air goes where it's supposed to. Now I got to move around those tubes and get the Piccolo tubes in place, get them fastened in the proper place so that they will measure the pressure both on the top and on the bottom of the engine so that I can get that pressure differential reading. Once that's done, we get to my least favorite. I said that it was my least favorite was taking it off. Actually, no, putting it on is my least favorite task. It's really hard to do by yourself, but I've got it on here now, putting some of the screws in place, and then I have to install that oil cooler again. Once that oil cooler is installed, which you'll see me do here in just a moment, there I am, and then we'll just pop the top cowl on there, screw it in place, and that's it, buttoned up, ready to go flying in the morning. Almost finished, just have to put the soaring tape, the cumulus tape on the gaps there. But I just noticed that I have a visitor who's been watching me work. Hey there, little guy. He's remarkably still and completely unfazed by the fact that I'm right next to him. This is special tape actually meant for gliders to seal up gaps between wings. All right, that's it for tonight. Everything's put back together, cowls are on, the pressure sensors, the Piccolo tubes are installed. Tubes are run up into the cockpit where I've got my manometer. In the morning we'll come out and I'll get my camera set up so that I can film the manometer as I go. And we'll go up for a test flight and we'll see what we see. I have a feeling I know what I'm gonna see, but we'll know the exact numbers once we get up there and see it. So that's it for tonight. See you in the morning. Sorry about the flashing lights, it's my LED overhead lights, but here I'm doing my pre-flight check. Alright, pre-flight is done. I had a problem with my camera. I don't know what's going on. My Inov K6 camera appears to have died. It doesn't work anymore. I'll have to have a look at that when I get home. I do have a spare camera. I've got an Inov H5, which is actually meant as a helmet camera. Never used it in the airplane before, but we'll give it a try and see how it works.
hopefully I get some footage from this. Unfortunately, I wanted to use the K6 because I wanted to use its second camera to point at the manometer so that I could record the pressures. Unfortunately, I don't have that now, so I'll just read out the pressures as I see them, and that will get recorded on the audio. All right, so let's push out. It's an extremely hot day today. I made the mistake of wearing all black, and so let's get the plane pushed out and get going.
All right, that Skyhawk in front of me took a really long time. Sat here for several minutes, and now my CHDs are getting hot, and now I gotta wait for this guy to land on full stop here.
County traffic, Cessna 58 Yankee, 10 to the southwest, inbound for landing 29er, jogger.
Break up. Elevator set.
Skyhawk 3107 Papa, departing pattern to the southwest, my diaphragm.
Medina traffic, experimental Cozy 7907 Delta Lima, departing 27. Alright, full power, mixture rich, we're at 2200.
Clear the runway.
And airspeed's alive, we're at 35. There's 40. There's 50. There's 60. 65 and 70 and back and up we go. Gear up. I'm seeing 1.78 on the manometer. Okay, I'm pitching for 100. HT's 383. There's 100. I'm at 2.6 on the manometer. Still at 100 knots. 1,500 feet. Still full power. 397, 398, 399. I'm at 400 on CHTs. 1,700. 400, 403 on the hottest cylinder, cylinder 2. 2.6 on the manometer. 408 hottest cylinder, cylinder 2. There's 2,000 feet. Medina traffic, experimental Cozy 7907 Delta Lima, departing to the southwest. There's 2,100 feet.
Traffic, Cessna 39 Tango Delta, departing 27 Medina.
415 degrees, powering back to 27 inches. 2270 RPM.
70 uniform, 3 on final, RNF 5, Olivia, full stop.
415 on the CHT, 3 inches on the manometer. All right, we're 120 knots. I'm down to 414 degrees CHT, 3.3 inches water. I'm gonna pitch up for a little more altitude. Hottest cylinder now down to 412, 115 knots, 3 inches water, 3,100 feet. At 70% power. 110 knots.
County traffic.
110 knots, 415 degrees.
27 Golf 4, 8 miles final, RNF.
3,900. All right, there's 5,000 feet. We're gonna level off and increase speed. Still full rich. Okay, airspeed now 141. CHT at 410. Manometer at 4.28. Through airspeed 160, indicated 144.
601 Lima Sierra, coming.
CHT down to 405, and CHT is definitely coming down. Manometer is at 4 inches water. All right, we're below 400 on the CHT. Indicated 144, true 158. All right, so that's that test completed. Going down 112 indicated, I'm getting 2.7 inches. Medina traffic, experimental Cozy 797, Delta Lima left base 27, Medina, full stop.
And Delta Lima, what's your altitude?
2,000.
All right, we're at 27, we should be fine. I'm headed east, thanks, bye.
Landing brake down. I have no landing brake. What the hell?
Jaga 3867 Sierra downwind 29er.
Know if it's down or not, I don't think it is. All right, well, pay attention to your speed then.
Traffic 3125 Yankee, Skyline, we're 3 miles west of the airport, extended left downwind 29.
Medina traffic, experimental Cozy 797, Delta Lima is final 27, full stop Medina.
Jaga Skyhawk 67 Sierra base 29er. Jaga 67 Sierra final 29er. Full stop.
At your speed, 80. That was a high-speed landing. Used up all my brakes on that. Medina traffic, experimental Cozy 797, Delta Lima, back taxiing 27. Medina. I have no idea if the speed brake is down or not. I left it down. In case it is down, I don't think it is. I didn't feel it. And Medina traffic, experimental Cozy 797, Delta Lima, clear 27. It is tough to land this airplane without a speed brake. The speeds are all over the place.
All right, back from the flight, pull the plane in, and time to have a look at that landing brake to figure out what's going on with that. So I pulled that apart and discovered that a wire connector has broken. So I pulled that apart and repair that, put it back together, give it a quick test, and make sure that it is now working properly, which it is. Next, we got to pull that propeller off. We're going to put on the old propeller. And so I'm going to gradually untorque the new propeller bolts bit at a time and get them all out. And before I can put the new propeller on, or the old propeller rather, I have to clean the old bolts, which you see me doing here, to make sure that there is no foreign substances on there, and also clean the lugs themselves, because I really don't want to gall one again. So at that point, I realized that I don't have the correct length bolts for the old prop because I galled it and destroyed it. So I decided, well, I'm just gonna have to put the new prop back on for now because I can't use the old prop. I can't get it on there until I get a replacement bolt that will fit it. So here I am putting the new prop back on and installing the safety wire on the bolts after they've been torqued in place.
Medina County traffic, experimental Cozy 797 Delta Lima departing 27.
Traffic in the vicinity of Geauga County, are you on frequency?
At this point, I decided, you know what, I'm done working for today. I'm just going to go out and do some pleasure flying. Just go do some sightseeing, which is what I'm doing now.
Traffic in the vicinity of Geauga County and the Gates area, please use caution. Active parachute company happening. Please use caution. Do not overfly the Gates Airport.
All right, full power, and we see 2160 in the RPM. Airspeed's alive, 30 knots, 35. There's 40, 45, 50, 60, and 65. And rotate at 70. There we go. Got positive rate. Gear up. Let's pitch for 90. Already at 391 on the CHT. Let's pitch for 110. Cleveland approach, experimental Cozy 797 Delta Lima VFR request.
Number 797 Delta Lima, Cleveland.
797 Delta Lima is just off of 1 Golf 5. We would like to go up to about Euclid and then trace along the Lakeshore to Lorraine and then back down south if possible.
Number 7 Delta Lima, squawk 46 for, correction, 4674.
4674 for 7 Delta Lima.
Number 7 Delta Lima, radar contact 2 miles northwest of the Medina Airport. Reactor altimeter 298. What altitude are you looking to do all this at?
29908 for 7 Delta Lima, and if we could do 3500.
Number 7 Delta Lima, roger. For now, maintain at or below 3,500. Clears in the season class Bravo.
At or below 3,500, and was that cleared into the class Bravo for 7 Delta Lima?
Number 7 Delta Lima, affirmative, cleared through the season class Bravo.
7 Delta Lima cleared through the class Bravo.
And I am going to give you a new controller here in a second, but just to get all of your attention correct, you're going Euclid, Lakeshore, Lorraine.
7 Delta Lima, affirmative.
Roger. And one more time, what was the aircraft for 7 Delta Lima, type aircraft?
Type aircraft is a experimental Cozy.
And that binging noise is something telling me that my canopy has come open. I have a look back to make sure it's not open, and it turns out that the switch back there is broken, but I'll fix it later.
Number 7 Delta Lima, are you planning on landing at Lorraine? Just curious.
Negative. We'll over top of Lorraine, and we'll end up back at Medina.
Okay, sounds good. If you should happen to change your mind, just be aware that 725 at Lorraine is closed.
7 Delta Lima, affirmative.
Number 7 Delta Lima, contact approach now on 125.35.
2535 for 7 Delta Lima.
Off I go. I'm heading off up to the northeast side of Cleveland, and I'm just basically heading more or less straight up towards where Euclid is. And once I get up to Lake Erie, I'm going to turn left, and then I will head along the lakeshore just to have a look at the city. This is actually something I've never done, believe it or not. I just thought, I've heard other people doing this, and I thought, hey, why not? Let's go out and have a look at the Cleveland cityscape. And here we are on the east side of Cleveland, looking down at some of the railroad tracks in the suburban areas. Now we're a little bit farther west and coming up into the more metropolitan Cleveland area, and there's a sewage treatment plant right down there on the lakeshore, treating Cleveland sewage and dumping it into Lake Erie. There you can see the city and Burke Lakefront Airport right there behind the breakwater. Here is Burke Lakefront Airport, and there are quite a few GA aircraft operating out of here. There's a couple flight schools, but if you are not based there, it is not free to land, so I generally won't go there. And here you can see downtown Cleveland, and there's a stadium there, and there was actually a game going on in that stadium the day I was flying, so there was actually a TFR that I am skirting around the outside of, which is why I'm a little farther away than I would otherwise be. Here you can see I'm just up against that TFR, but not quite touching it. Here I am looking at Cleveland Hopkins Airport. This is our international airport here in Cleveland. Now that I've passed the downtown area, I'm heading up towards Westlake and getting close to Lorraine. I'm going to turn inbound and start heading south. I am originally going towards Medina, but then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to turn south for a little bit, just go have a look around in some other areas and just sightsee for a bit. Alright, time to head for home. Now I'm heading back towards Medina, getting set up to enter the pattern into Medina.
County traffic, experimental Cozy 7907 Delta Lima turning final 27, full stop in that county.
$500.
I recently configured my G3X to warn me if I exceeded 90 knots with the landing brake extended, and this is what that warning sounds like, which means I need to watch my speeds better.
Too much speed again. Medina County traffic, experimental Cozy 7907 Delta Lima, back taxiing 27.
I'm really not happy with how I'm managing my speeds in the pattern, and especially on final. I think I'm going to go up and just do a whole bunch of landings and really work on speeds and getting everything exactly where it should be to get my landings better. Well, it's been a good day. Not entirely successful, but not bad. So I put the new prop back on. I didn't get to test the old prop, so it wasn't an entirely successful day, but it's not useless. I did identify that the pressure going across the engine, the differential across the engine, is entirely insufficient, and that is the cause of my overheating CHT. Which means the only thing that has changed that could affect that is the prop, because everything else I've done would improve that, which means I've got something going on with the prop. It's not allowing enough air to come out the back, and because that air can't get out, it builds up pressure in the top where it should be more or less a vacuum, and because I've got that pressure build up, that means the pressure differential is low. So if I do something to evacuate the top to get the air out of there, that means that the pressure differential should increase because there will be more air exiting out the back. Not quite sure how I'm going to accomplish that yet, but I'll start doing some research. I didn't get to do my second test flight, so I said, you know what, I'm just going to go up and just fly around for fun. So that's exactly what I did. Went sightseeing, just flew around, and just for the love of flying, that's all I did. It was too nice a day not to be up flying. Didn't really have anywhere to go. There's a TFR over the city because there was a baseball game or whatever it is that was going on in the stadium down there. But hey, I got it. I'm sure some people looked up and said, hey, look at that funny airplane, which is always good, right? So the next step is to research and talk to some people and see what they have to think about getting more air exiting the back of the cowl. And in the meantime, I'll just keep on flying. I hope you like what you saw here today. If you did, please click like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out when you do that. Also, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below, and I read and answer all of those. Thanks for watching.